Dinosaur Adventure Land in Lenox, Alabama, December the 16th. Tonight, making babies. The gastric-brooding frog that gives birth through its mouth. Aren't you humans glad you don't do that? Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. I'd like to know how this evolved. Guys, come join us for Christmas dinner on Christmas Day, December 25th. I know it's a pagan holiday. We don't know when Christ was born. But hey, as good a day as any. Let's celebrate the birth of Christ. Let the world do what they want. Christmas dinner, our cooks do an amazing job here. Everything free. Come on down, take the tours of Dinosaur Adventure Land. There's Matt's daughter loving her Christmas dinner. Some of it got in. And Big Will, is Big Will out there? He's been working on that tractor, long time, trying to get that excavator out. Still not out. Okay, but getting closer. Okay, we have Christmas dinner. It was amazing at Thanksgiving dinner. Come see our amazing dining hall and Science Center and museum and theme park and take all the rides and all that stuff. Oh, I'll take that one right there. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, Freddie and Minot and all the other. Who helped cook for Thanksgiving dinner? How many helped cook a dish for Thanksgiving dinner? Okay. If you got your specialty you want to fix, I'm going to fix Captain Crunch. Okay. Here we are, making babies every Friday night. Tonight, frogs. A special kind of frog. We did the one on the anglerfish, the tardigrade, the honeybee, the watermelon, the starfish, the praying mantis, the mud skippers, the beavers. None of you atheists tried to answer, how did this evolve? I would like a step-by-step scientific answer for how it evolved. Not a made-up story. Tonight, the mud skipper gives birth through its mouth. You'll be shocked. I've been on it all day and yesterday, and I could have spent 4 years on just this one. How did this evolve? It didn't. Okay, let's see. Help us grow. Subscribe to our channel. You can help us stay open for free. Freddie told us today what we spend on food every day. It's shocking. Come on down. Help us stay open. If you want, join our 777 club. Go to drdino.com and make any checks to CSE, Creation Science Evangelism. Okay, let's see. We think God should get the glory for his creation. We're straight north of Pensacola, 70 miles, in the itty-bitty town of Lenox. We have a Baptist church, a camp, a science center, a museum, a theme park, a farm, all kinds of fun stuff. A couple miles off I-65. Come on down. There we are, Dinosaur Adventure Land. We have a bunch of side-by-sides to give tours. I give the real tour. Only got to give one today. Oh, it was awful. I love giving that tour. Man, okay. How many have taken the tour with me driving, took the real tour, and you survived? Okay, let's see. The Science Center tour, the farm tour. Perfect place to bring your youth group, your men's group, women's group, retreat, advance, whatever you want to do, scout group. All kinds of cool science lessons to learn about God's amazing creation. 252 baptized so far. We have 3 zip lines. Come try them. If you do them just right, you go across the water put your legs in front of you, hit the water just right. It'll give you a wedgie that'll last a week. You can try a redneck swing. There's that redneck. Let's see. Here comes zip line. There it goes. Hold your feet in front of you. Come on now. Come on. You can do it. And bam, wedgie, 1 week. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. Our 146 acres. I'm not sure exactly what we got here. We got a bunch anyway. Come see the whole place. We have zip lines back there. 16 lakes and ponds for fishing and swimming and all kinds of stuff to do. Most of our cabins are down there in area number 1, right there. Let's see. To clean out all the lakes, to get them for deep fishing holes. We tried it with ours, got our excavator stuck. We'd like to get, I don't know. If you do that kind of work, come on down. Clean out the lakes, okay? Get our seminar series for Christmas. Get 3 sets for $100. I think you can still get them in time to give to your friends. Call in 855-BIG-DINO, extension, what's my wife, extension 2? I'm 3. She's 1, extension 1, okay? Let's see. Get our book on what's about to happen, what the future is, about what the Bible says in Revelation and Daniel. Okay. If you want to help me collect all the various ways plants and animals make babies and send them in, I'd like the evolutionist to explain it. Send your research to my wife, the secretary, at drdino.com. Let's see. Okay. There were 2 species of frogs that swallow their eggs and let the babies hatch and grow in their stomach and give birth through their mouth. Apparently, both of them went extinct in the 1980s, but they're resurrecting one of them from a gene code. It's pretty cool. But in the 1980s, the gastric-brooding frog went extinct, gives birth through its mouth. It's also called the platypus frog. But they're being brought back. Gastric-brooding frog. Gastric-brooding frogs, or platypus frog, is a genus of extinct ground-dwelling frogs in Queensland in northeast Australia. for you folks over there. The genus consisted of only 2 species, both of which became extinct in the mid-80s. 1 month ago, generally speaking, frogs laid a lot of eggs, but for the finer detail, you have to get down to a specific species. There are 5,000 species of frogs, each laying a different amount of eggs. Frogs can lay anywhere from 2,000 to 20,000 eggs each cycle. How many of you parents are glad you're not a frog? Yeah, okay. Let's see. Okay. Give birth through their mouth. I would like to know how this evolved. I'm going to ask you some specific questions here in a minute, okay? How frogs work. Let's see. How stuff works. Most people learn about the basics of frog reproduction in elementary school. Frogs lay eggs in water. The eggs hatch into tadpoles that grow into frogs. Only about half of the frogs follow these exact steps, but there are a few rules of thumb about frog reproduction. All frogs reproduce sexually, and all hatch from eggs. Let's see. In almost all frogs, egg fertilization happens outside the female's body. Now, wait. I'm going to ask you some questions about this. As she's laying the eggs, he's depositing the sperm. Why? How? I know it works. How did that evolve? Did she lay the eggs for millions of years before he thought about, hey, I better come around? Why would they want to do this? Make more babies, more competition for food. Why? Okay. The female releases her eggs and the male releases his sperm at the same time. In order to make sure the sperm reach the eggs, the male and female get into a mating posture called amplexus. Okay. Let's see. All frogs require moisture to develop. All frog eggs do. Most frogs abandon their eggs once they're fertilized, but not all eggs incubate underwater or without parental care. A few species carry their eggs in vocal sacs or their abdomens. Others lay eggs in dry areas and keep the eggs moist with water or urine. Hey, honey, time to go pee on the kids. I'm just reading what they wrote, okay? In a few species, fully formed froglets hatch from the eggs, but most of the time the frog starts its life as a tadpole. When adult frogs are carnivores, tadpoles can be vegetarians or omnivores. There are some filter feeders that eat algae, and you can read all about frogs. Okay, 1 chromosome is more complex than anything ever built by man. Randall, what's the most complex computer in the world? You know of? Big one in China. 1 chromosome. Most complex thing there is. Now, let's see. Frogs have 46 chromosomes. Humans have 26. Humans have 46. These chromosomes, and they copy them. How much equipment is required to copy a computer program? If I said, Randall, make me a copy of Microsoft Word, how complex would the program be to do that, to make the copy? All the equipment you got to need? I mean, it's mind-boggling. They make 20,000 copies to lay 20,000 eggs. That's just got half the code. The male's releasing millions of sperm with the other half of the code. How did that evolve, guys? Come on now. Frog species breaks record for most sex chromosomes. Let's see. A team in Brazil made the realization several lines of evidence noting a frog's sex chromosomes require a whole different way of reproducing. Record-breaking. The female frog has a very complex reproductive anatomy that can make thousands of copies of its 26 chromosomes. Our man-made computers require very complex equipment to duplicate code. She has an ovary to produce the egg. That little tiny, you know how big a frog is? That little tiny ovary is smaller. It's doing all this. Does the frog know how to do this? Does the frog realize, hey, I got to copy that code now? Huh? How did this evolve, guys? Come on. Then it has to go down through the oviduct. Okay? Let's see. Now, meanwhile, the male's making the sperm. All frogs reproduce sexually and hatch from eggs. In almost all frogs, fertilization happens outside the female's body instead of inside. The female releases her eggs and the male releases his sperm at the same time. Oh, okay. So the male, almost all males, including humans, have what's called a Cowper's gland. Because the same tube that the sperm goes out is where the urine goes out, uric acid. So the Cowper's gland, itty-bitty gland right there, releases a special chemical to neutralize the urine. So the sperm doesn't die on the way out. How did they make babies before the Cowper's gland evolved? I would like an answer. All you atheists are proud of yourself for knowing so much. Come on, let's have an answer here. Cowper's gland neutralized the acid in the urine. Sperm are not killed. How did this evolve, and how did they reproduce before it evolved? The male releases millions of sperm to cover the thousands of eggs laid by the female. How and why did this method evolve? Other animals, it's internal fertilization. Why external? And how did it evolve? It's really complex. Whole bunch of stuff. How many things could go wrong in this process and make it not work? Anyone. Why would the male want to be close to the female to do this? Couldn't he get his dopamine release and climax and release his sperm, out in the woods by himself? Each sperm is carrying a complex code with half the instructions to make an entire frog. Skeletal system, muscular, digestive, balance, vision, hearing, etc. More complex than any machine ever built by man. One frog is. There's nothing built by man close to a frog in complexity. Okay. Core. What ways is DNA like a computer code? In a computer code, the information is stored in base 2 format using zeros and ones. Those zeros and ones are combined to eventually form letters, words, sentences. Similarly, DNA uses a base 4 format, which makes it a whole lot more complicated. Okay? Similar, let's see, there are 4 data storage units, CATG. Okay, those 4 molecules are combined to eventually form instructions that produce amino acids and protein. So I have some questions, lots of questions for you atheists, okay? Number 1, why would the female frog want to lay eggs and increase competition for food? Why not just live forever? Why do they want to do this? It's a pretty strong want to, isn't it? In every species. How many of you understand that one? Yeah, okay. Let's see. Why does the male want to make more babies and increase competition for food? Why do they want to do this? You atheists just pass right over it. Come on, give me a scientific answer. Do they know they're going to die someday so they quick make babies? Or do they think, hey, I'm living forever? I don't know. How do they make babies? How did they make it before the Cowper's gland grew? How did that work? If the Cowper's gland came along first, then why? There was no need for it, unless they're making babies. Come on, guys, let's have an answer to the Cowper's gland, okay? Male frogs get a dopamine release, a high or a climax, when sperm is released. He doesn't need the female for this. Why do they wait until the female's near there? How did that evolve? Let's see. How did the first frog to do this? Why don't they just digest their babies in their stomach? See, this gastric brooding frog lays the eggs, the male squirts the sperm on them, then she swallows them. What does the baby eat in there? How does the baby breathe? How does the baby and the mother know when they've been in there long enough? They just seem to get it just right every time, don't they? Just come out at the right time. How many of you ladies ever had a baby and they kind of know when it's time to come out? You can kind of feel them bouncing around in there and say, oh no, honey, time to go to the hospital. One of my buddies in college, who was going to Bible college with me, his wife was pregnant. Middle of the night, she said, honey, my water broke. He came running in, slipped on the water, and broke his arm. And she had to drive him to the hospital. Boy, we gave him a hard time about that. Let's see. Frogs that give birth through their mouth. Whoa, let's see. Extinct frog that gives birth through the mouth. Going to bring it back with the DNA code. Okay, they've been extinct since 1983. Here's the frog gives birth through its mouth. I would like to know how this evolved, okay? There's several important things I don't think you guys can explain, all right? Frog that gives birth through the mouth to be brought back from extinction. Okay, let's see. In Australia, they made a major milestone, resurrecting a unique species of frog that gives birth through its mouth and vanished into extinction 30 years ago. Let's see. Also known as the platypus frog, the female amphibian, after external fertilization by the male, would swallow its eggs, brood its young in its stomach, and give birth through its mouth. Why and how? We're watching Lazarus arise from the dead. Okay, I see. All right. Let's see. Popular science. Okay. In case you're wondering, the gastric brooding frog lays eggs which are coated in a substance called prostaglandin. Wait. The eggs have to have a special coating on them to protect them. This substance causes the frog to stop producing gastric acid in its stomach. Otherwise, the eggs would get digested. So how did the female learn to produce this prostaglandin? And what did it do before with any babies in there? How did this evolve? Come on, guys. Making the frog's stomach a very nice place for eggs to be. So the frog swallows the eggs in her gut, and when they hatch, the baby frogs crawl out of her mouth. Well, now hold it. During those 25 days or so the babies are growing in there, does she get to eat at the same time? Or does she just eat nothing for 25 days? And how did that evolve? This chemical, prostaglandin, each one of these molecules is amazingly designed to do what it does. How does the frog know how to make these molecules? Did the frog have to go to school, chemistry class, to learn how to make this stuff? Can you make one? Any of you atheists, can you make one of these molecules? You and your hormones, prostaglandins, a group of lipids made at the sites of tissue damage or infection that are involved in dealing with injury and illness. Okay, let's see. What are prostaglandins? Unlike most hormones, which are produced by glands and transported in the bloodstream to act on distant areas of the body, prostaglandins are produced at the site where they are needed. Well, they show up and make it right there on site. Now, how did that evolve? Come on. Produced in nearly all cells and are part of the body's way of dealing with injury and illness. Wow. They act as signals to control several different processes depending on the part of the body which they're made. Prostaglandins are made at sites of tissue damage or infection where they cause inflammation, pain, and fever as part of the healing process. How did this evolve? Mechanisms of action of the drug aspirin. Aspirin works by stopping prostaglandin being made. Aspirin molecules enter the cell and chemically modify these other enzymes to prevent it from being made. I see, okay. Prostaglandins are also involved in regulating the contraction and relaxation of the muscles in the gut and airways. They're known to regulate female reproductive system and are involved in the control of ovulation, the menstrual cycle, the induction of labor. How did this prostaglandin evolve? What if it had just one molecule out of place, one atom out of place for a long time? Now, what's the difference between H2O and H2O2? Oh, huge difference. One's hydrogen peroxide. Yeah, okay. Chemical reaction. What was that story they had? Little Johnny was a chemist, little Johnny is no more. For what he thought was H2O was H2SO4. Okay. Oh, well. The chemical reaction that makes the prostaglandins involves several steps. You can read all about this thing. How does the frog know how to make this? Does he have a chemical lab in his body? How did this evolve? Don't just pass it over, atheists. Come on, give an answer. You haven't answered any of my questions in this whole series of making babies. None. You're 0 for 200. Come on, guys, man up, okay? Do frogs give birth through their mouth? Gastric-brooding frog is the only known frog to give birth through its mouth. According to researchers, University of South Wales, the frog lays eggs but then swallows them. Eggs stay in the frog's, should be gut probably, or body, typo here, until they hatch, at which point they crawl out of the mouth. How do they know which way to crawl, I wonder? Who taught them that? Let's see. Biologists have long thought some frog species evolved to mate on land, sometimes in unusual places instead of in open water to guard eggs and tadpoles from easily being eaten by fish. Some species skip the egg stage, give birth to live tadpoles, even froglets. How many babies does a frog have? A female frog, after she becomes mature, can lay from 2 to more than 50,000 eggs at once. Good thing she don't have to nurse them. Yeah, okay. How would they make clothes for that? Let's see. Egg laying on land. Many kinds of frogs lay their eggs on land and subsequently transport the tadpoles to water. The Ranajaces suglossus, whatever that is, and all members of this other family, a big Latin name, have terrestrial eggs. I have some questions, lots of questions for you atheists, okay? Why did the frog evolve this strange method of making babies? Don't other methods work fine? I think God did this, all these different methods of making babies, just to be able to laugh at you atheists for being so dumb to believe it happened by chance. I'm sure the angels are up there laughing. You believe you came from a rock? Hey, Gabriel, those guys think this is their grandpa. Yeah. What real scientific step-by-step explanation is there for this method evolving? Come on now, guys. You claim evolution's got the answer. Let's hear it, okay? Did the first few million generations of frogs just digest their babies until this method evolved? Did they learn to do it right first time, or did they happen to actually eat them all for a while and then nobody lived for millions of years? I see, okay. Should students be taught that it's scientifically proven fact that frogs evolved, Or should they be taught that this is just one hypothesis? Why do you guys want exclusive coverage of your religion? Why? I know why. Because yours looks dumb compared to any other option. Should students be taught that it looks like frogs were designed to do this? Would that be okay to teach them? Hey kids, boy, it sure looks like this was designed. Would it be okay to say, let's see, this self-tapping rubber grommet roofing screw, would it be reasonable to say this was designed to do a particular job? Would anybody with one eyeball and half a functioning brain cell think a lightning strike in an iron mine could make a screw, let alone a whole building? You guys are certifiably insane for believing this dumb evolution religion. Okay, more questions. Why have none of you committed evolutionists given any scientifically provable answers to any of my questions in the whole series? Any of our plants are animals. And we're going to keep going, making babies for every Friday night for a long time. There's a whole lot of plants and animals out there making babies. You guys haven't explained any of that. You can't explain them because your religion is devoid of science. Evolution's a religion. There's no science to it at all, okay? Are you ever going to admit that evolution is a religion and is not part of science? Will you admit that? Are any of you evolution believers going to help me remove your religion from public schools? You claim you don't want religion in schools. Okay, get yours out. Come on now. All you outspoken atheists and revered scientists. Oh, revered scientists. Well, answer these simple questions about the frog or the tomato plant or anything else. Come on. Hitchens can't do it. Simon Dan, you brave evolutionist. Where's your answer to the gastric-brooding frog, son? Come on. How about Professor Dave? Come on, Professor Dave, you look so cool. Where's your answer to my questions about the gastric-brooding frog? Do a series on it. How did this evolve? Step by step, answer the questions, okay? All you famous atheists are invited. I'll take all of you on same time. Call Standing for Truth for a debate. 500 against me. I get half the time. You guys go first, whoever wants to. How about Emma? Emma, when are you going to answer these? You claim to be an atheist? Emma Thorne, come on. How did the gastric-brooding frog evolve? Answer my questions very simply. How about Aaron Nelson, who calls himself the sun god? I think you'd have to be bright to be a sun. You believe you came from a rock, okay? I got some questions, lots of questions. If you came across a plant or animal that appeared to be designed by a really smart designer, would you admit it? If God himself became a man and came to earth in a miraculous way and did unnatural miracles that thousands witnessed, and then allowed himself to be sacrificed for your sins, would you believe and receive him as your Savior? That's the goal of all this. I'm not picking on you atheists just to be mean to you. You are destroying the faith of lots of other people. It's like a mass murderer on the loose. Only you're not killing the body, you're killing the mind and the spirit of the kids. Knock it off. Okay? Any of you, call 855 BIG-DINO, extension 3. I'll have my phone in a minute. I'll take your questions. I want some answers to these questions. I think it is obvious from a frog there was a designer. And every time you see a frog, I want you to think about, wow, there's a God. Because there's a God. The frog has no idea it's making all these chemicals. All it knows is Daddy Frog sees Mama Frog over there and says, oh, wow, look at that. I don't think that when I see a frog, but that's okay. All right. Any questions or comments from here? Any from the chat there, brother? Yes, sir.
On your take on end time events, what's the most evidence you have in the Bible as far as like what scripture that you point to as far as what you believe that on your end time events?
On the topic of end times, I did a whole series. Whoa, what on earth's about to happen? It's like, 12 videotapes in here, DVDs, I mean. On my chart, what got me started on this whole thing was reading Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. In all three passages, Jesus' disciples asked him the simple question, Lord, when are you coming? And what's the sign we should watch for? That's how the passage starts off. Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 21. He tells them there's going to be horrible tribulation. And then at the bottom of each of those passages, he says, after the tribulation, the sun and the moon are going to go dark. Well, I'd been taught in my independent, temperamental, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist church as a kid, Jesus could be coming any minute. And I loved all the songs. It could happen in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Soon and very soon, I'm going to see the King. You know, I know all that stuff. I wish it was true. It's just not. It very reluctantly had to change from pre-trib rapture to post-trib pre-wrath. I was guilty of confusing tribulation, which is what the world does to us, and wrath, which is what God does to the world. We are not here when the wrath of God falls, but we're here for the tribulation. What's that? No. The whole 7 years is tribulation. The whole 7 years. The first part is called the falling away, when many are going to fall away from serving the Lord. Okay? No, the wrath comes in the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is a 1,000-year period that comes, that's the seventh day, I think. So just watch my video series, or look, the charts are $10, and on the back is all the verses from Daniel and from Revelation that I could find. And I spent I had plenty of time in prison. I wasn't going to waste it watching TV. I spent it, writing books and reading and studying. I said, Lord, I don't care what my fundamental Baptist friends think. What's your book say? And I lost a lot of friends, and I don't care. I want to teach the truth, and if nobody likes it, tough. I'll teach it by myself then. Best thing I can see is we're here for the whole thing. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Yes? Okay. Any there, Randall? Nothing of it. Okay, good. Come visit for Christmas, but come anytime. We got a lot of folks coming in tonight, so who's going to watch? I'm going to bed. I'm not going to wait up till midnight because somebody wants to come in late. Okay. And where are they going, D? In cabin 2. The big group goes to cabin 2, and the couple with the daughter goes to 12 down at the lake. Okay. And you got the keys for the side-by-side, give them a ride and all that? Okay. Yay, praise God, you can have that job, brother. Are we supposed to be finding you a wife now? We find everybody else one. You want a smart one, though, don't you? Yeah. That'd give the kids a 50-50 chance. Okay.